Hey everybody, it's Alex Meller at Capnion here. Today I'd like to talk about what I think are important ways that AI is both very mature and then more specifically very immature from a mega corporate perspective. I think lots of LinkedIn will tell you the mature story. It's just a really exciting technology and it's very easy to see why it could speed up a lot of white collar work very quickly. There is not as much or as loud conversation about the immature part. You may have seen discussed on social media today, there was a Wall Street Journal article about Amazon's upcoming Alexa update and the struggle of Amazon's internal AI teams to keep up with advances occurring at other companies. I think it's worth expanding this narrative a little bit. To present Google as one of these companies that's doing so well is a little bit misleading, I think, in that Google's had trouble keeping up with OpenAI. Google, for a long time, was supposed to be the company that was good at these things. They hogged up a lot of the talent. There was a long period of time in the prehistory of OpenAI, you might say, where Google was outspending them by a factor of, I think, 7 or 8, just in the sector of Google that focused on AI research. And yet it was OpenAI that made the big splash. You can see in Apple and Microsoft's interactions with OpenAI that they feel like they're a little bit behind too, because they would love to be doing those things in-house and to be known for that and not to be going to someone outside. In a minute, I'm going to come back. I think OpenAI might be on the cusp of now being the big organization that's commercially focused and struggles to do research. But let me introduce some other themes first. So, why is it hard to do an AI research program in a large organization? Why does the world look like this? There's a lot about the private sector, speaking as someone who came dangerously close to being a math professor, that makes basic research type tasks pretty difficult. Fundamentally, the point of basic research is that you don't know what you're doing. And it's thus not going to be terribly easy to describe exactly how long it's going to take to achieve something or how much it's going to cost by extension. Anything real technical that occurs at a business, there's going to be some layer of management where an essentially technical conversation that to a normal person might as well be in Greek is going to interface with business leadership. And that's really tough. And this leads you to the talent problem. There's not an unlimited amount of the right kind of talent around AI. These people are going to want to work somewhere where it can be about passion a lot of the time. If you're a big organization, you'd really like to set some guardrails about when things need to get done and these kinds of things, because otherwise maybe you just attract people that want to collect a paycheck and do nothing. But at the same time, that's going to be toxic to these other people that are really about doing AI research and don't want to have to do a whole lot of process, maybe coming from people that they don't think are very informed about when it's going to get done. I think a lot of people working in data science, AI on the management side have had these experiences of disconnect between business and more specialized technical skill sets. And certainly many of you have ranted to me over the years. I think this is really kind of the foundational business problem in data. If you look at OpenAI, they've actually lost a lot of their hot researchers. They've lost some hot researchers because of hurt feelings about business being in charge and not focusing on the right things. So it's a species of this story I just outlined. OpenAI just had this big blow up a few months ago where the company almost ran away to Microsoft. Ilya Sutskever, who's sort of at one time was their flagship scientist, he is gone now. OpenAI looks a lot more like a company trying to commercialize an existing technology. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with them. Furthermore, big organizations tend to have a whole lot of process managing various kinds of risks, and this can make stuff like AI a lot harder, and it's pretty unavoidable. So, for example, data privacy tends to be something that is difficult to do well while doing AI. A smaller operation is going to be able to handle these things in a much more agile way. If you've got a whole lot of slow bureaucratic process around how your AI research gets done, you could fall pretty far behind pretty fast. They say AI moves in logarithmic time. Every month is, in a sense, a million years longer than the month before. And it's just tough to compete if you're making people wait around for permission to hit this database of training data or what have you. I have an example. I think it's really silly, but it's not silly at all. At Capnion, we like to do a lot of internal R&D and just generally build things for fun and also to feel like we're in a position to give you good advice. I've thought before about if you expose a chatbot to the world, if you've ever had a customer service job, it might shock you how much people will just give you their credit card number and just generally give you way, way too much information carelessly. And this is what a lot of scams prey on. It's actually really bad news if you give some chatbot your credit card number that is not equipped to handle your credit card number, because it's maybe going to go in a database somewhere. And people might not know that the database now has a credit card number floating around in it, and you're really not supposed to do that. If you do a lot of that stuff at a big organization and then something goes wrong, it could be a really big deal. And, it seems a little insane, but there are all these weird little things that go wrong. And if you have a lot of rules you can't break, you need to make sure the AI, in a sense, knows about those rules. And it's just a lot of extra overhead. You almost want an extra layer of AI to set boundaries for people about, hey, please don't give me your credit card number, and I'm going to carefully forget that you did because I'm not supposed to know that. That's tough. That's real tough. And it's just one of many things about it. Appears it's real hard for large organizations to do AI well, and I can think of a whole lot of good reasons. Finally, closing thoughts. If you're a large organization that really isn't about technology in your DNA, you should take a careful look at the experiences of big tech, which is essentially large organizations that do have technology in their DNA. That they're struggling is a warning to you about that you could struggle and why. I don't think your typical insurance company, grain producer, what have you, any other industry you want, should get too worried that if Google is going to have a bad time, that they're going to get it right. AI is hard, especially if you've got a lot of rules it needs to follow.